In our next module, we are going to be applying some basic standing yoga postures. Again, applying pelvic position, breathing patterns into some very common yoga positions you might have seen before, but it's likely that you haven't seen them like this. So our first pose is I'm going to have you step to the mat. So if you have a yoga mat, it just helps you organize your practice. We're going to start with your left foot forward at the front of the mat, your right foot back. So step your right foot as far back as you can. Start with your hands on your pelvis too. There we go. And then your right hand too. So make sure you got both hands on your pelvis there. So with both legs straight, we're going to start to bend the left knee towards the left toe until you feel a stretch in the right hip flexor. Okay? Now, it's very important to have the feet parallel. So look back, you might notice that your heel is pointed in, so make sure that heel is directly behind the toe. And so if you're feeling okay so far, what you might do is step that right foot back about another 5-6 inches, and now you're going to feel even greater stretch. Now this is where we start to notice a little bit of pelvic tilt. So if the abdomen is spilling forward, what we want to do is lift the low abs with your, we're trying to lift the front of the pelvis up, and then keep bending that left knee forward. So there's 3 things to pay attention to: the bend of the left knee and hip, the straightening of the back leg, and then the pelvic tilt. Because as you start to straighten that leg, it's really easy for the pelvic tilt to accentuate. And that's what we're here to make sure that we're staying stable in the pelvis. So if we're happy with that, then we're going to take those hands straight up to the ceiling, and we start to focus on our breathing. Now here, this is a very standard crescent lunge that we do in yoga, and relative to the whole fascial system, we're going to rotate the arms. And so what that does, it opens up the fascia in the upper body. With the thighs, we keep the feet pointed straight ahead, and we rotate the thighs inwards, and then push the heels apart. And what that does is it creates space in the pelvis. So try this with me. The arms rotating out, the thighs rotating in, or the heels reaching apart. Okay? Take another breath here as you're enjoying this pose. And then release the arms. And then let's safely switch sides. So why don't we go ahead and we'll turn the whole thing around and get a different view. So we're going to have your right foot at the front of the mat, the left foot at the back of the mat, and then let's go through our whole process again. So you're trying to get your back leg as straight as possible. Great job engaging the glutes. We're lifting the front of your pelvis up, and then we make sure that the ribs are in. Okay? And then bend that right knee forward until you feel a stretch in the front of your left hip flexors. The hands reach to the ceiling. Hands rotate out. Thighs rotate in. Heels pull apart. And we're taking those long, slow inhales, filling up the pelvic floor. As we exhale, we hug the perineum up towards the navel. And again, working those alignment cues. The shoulders rotate out, the hands rotate out, the heels rotate out, the toes draw in towards one another. Excellent. Okay? Hands come down, feet together. And then after we're done with that pose on each side, we can try a little test. So bring the hands up to the ceiling, and then we bend the knees forward. We try to bring the sit bones as close to the heels as possible. So then this is our little test for, as we have the hands straight up, it stretches the fascia on the back. And so here, coming into a little yoga squat, you're going to have some difficulty with going lower than you can control your pelvic position. Okay? And then stand up out of that. We're going to repeat this pose 2 to 3 times, testing our squat each time.